Day one of the NFL 2025 draft is in the books. Man, just like I said, you can go back and look at previous episodes. I said the trades are going to come and it's going to mess up everybody's mock. Shedeur Sanders, OMG. He's still without a team. Ravens, yeah, baby. We make our pick. MALAKI STARKS, but just why didn't we just grab a pass rusher? All this and more on the NFL 2025 Game Day Recap. All right, boys and girls. Day one is in the books. All the mock drafts are screwed up. Early trades, everything happened, and I'm just excited, man. It started with no shiny new toys at QB, and that's the real talk. We don't have the names in this year's draft, unlike last year where like 6 to 8 QBs were just flying off the board, changing everything, and allowed us to get Nate Wiggins. But either way, the trades came in at number 2, changed the game. Just when you thought Shedeur Sanders was going to get picked up, boom, something exploded. Them Giants, the lovers of Danny Dimes, a.k.a. Daniel Jones, trade back, and we thought Shedeur. I was praying. I said, man, Malik Neighbors, Shedeur Sanders, going to be an awesome combo. And what did they do? They grabbed Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart, the guy who had the meltdown at the end of the season, who hasn't come up big for them when they need big plays. Unlike Shedeur Sanders, as Mel Kiper says, produces in big pressure time. They took him. That's why they're the Giants, and that's why we're the Ravens. All right, y'all, let's go and look at it. MALAKI STARKS. A lot of those draft boards had us getting MALAKI STARKS or James Pierce. And did you see what I saw? At 26, I believe the Falcons knew that the Ravens would probably grab James Pierce, so they mortgaged the house per se, moved back into the first round, and took James Pierce. Now, James Pierce, as I said before, he has awesome explosion, first step off the ball. He's in the backfield, but he's still a project. And if you look at the game day review or the review of the player, they said, will he have that motor to keep coming like a Michael McCrary did during his heyday? So, in my personal opinion, I looked at some of the pass rushes on there, and I read up on some of them, and I think a couple of teams in the first round, they stretched. They stretched to get guys who are still projects. And if you're a Baltimore Ravens fan like me, y'all know we are so tired of projects. We're so tired of projects. Adafe Owe last year started maturing and had finally a double-digit sack season, but we still lack that Myles Garrett, that J.J. Watt, that dominant pass rusher that can get a 4-on-4 and win and get in the backfield and cause havoc every play. We're still looking for that here in Baltimore. And with Adafe Owe going into a contract season, his 5th year, they're saying he's a little disgruntled. Just why didn't the Ravens make a move this year to get a pass rusher over a safety? And if you looked at the Ravens interview with DaCosta and Harbaugh, and I was looking at a few of the draft experts, what they said, excuse me, and they said this: there are more edge rushers and pass rushers in the 2nd and 3rd round than safeties. there was 2, maybe 3 safeties available. But you looked at Nick Umoyori, I think I pronounced his name right, from South Carolina, and you're looking at MALAKI Stark. Now, Nick has intangibles. He has a freakish body. He's big. He runs fast. He has a lot of athleticism. But when I was listening to Mel Kiper and I was listening to Adam Scheffler, not saying everybody's right and not saying every draft pick going to be home runs. They said something that brought something to mind. During our Super Bowl era, Ray Lewis was out there and Ed Reed. And when I looked at the documentary of Peyton Manning, he always would say, Ray, he was dominating. But I had to know where Ed Reed was on every play. Because he could make a play on the ball. He was the game changer. He caused quarterbacks to go away from their game plan out of fear. Now, I want to ask y'all a question, and please put it in the comments. Do you agree with me that the problem with the Ravens secondary and the overall defense these days is that we don't bring fear to teams? Go on, put it in the comments. My belief is they're not scared of us. They'll instead of being run heavy, like there was a time in the NFL when the Ravens defense was on the field and you had that ball hawk back there, they would be scared to throw that direction. They were more apt to run the ball. Now you have ball hawks in the secondary. Remember one thing, y'all. We brought in and gave Marcus Williams a lot of money to be that ball hawk free safety. And for the first year, he was pretty much created that fear to throw the ball in the middle of the field in that area of free safety. But when he fell off, teams wasn't fearing us. They would throw on us at any time, all the time. And what the Ravens really need, we do need pass rush, but we don't need another project. We seen Mike Green, because of character off the field, he slid down the draft board. He's still in the second round available. You had a lot of people available still on that board, and MALAKI Starks was one of none, okay? There's nobody with the instincts, that ball hawking instincts at safety on the board. Now, I know Nick E., from South Carolina, he has a lot of intangibles, but you can't teach football IQ or instincts. Is he the perfect player? No. He ran a 4.5. He's not real fast, but fast enough as a safety. But he more than makes it up in his instincts and being at the right place at the right time to either force an interception or break up. And if you really paid attention to his career, he's done a lot of that. Now let's look at him. MALAKI Starks. He's listed as 6'1", 205 pounds, safety out of Georgia. Georgia, they got a lot of dogs down there. All right. We seen that in the draft, and those guys ready to ball. They said he is considered a plug and play day one free safety. His strengths is he could play the nickel. He could be a sort of money linebacker if you need him. He excelled in special teams. Okay. His upside is his instincts. He's a ball hawk. He knows football. He knows angles. He creates havoc in the secondary, especially in the middle of the field, where we saw Roquan Smith be susceptible. And last year, teams threw pretty much like 75%, 70 to 75% in the middle, and they ate us alive. And when you got receivers like Pickett, we now have DJ Metcalf. We're going to see teams like Cincinnati with their lethal combo of Higgins and Chase. We need somebody to try to shore up that middle as best as possible. No, you can't stop every play. But with a ball hawking, smart free safety out there patrolling, that'll free Kyle Hamilton up to be a money back, a rusher, or to even play that hybrid free safety in the back of the field to lock things down like he did before last year. And you'll see probably MALAKI and Washington flip in and out, spelling one another, creating havoc. So you now got the Ravens now. And this brings me back. During the draft, somebody sent me a text, and they said, man, why did they take MALAKI STARKS? They should have took Nick, or they should have took a pass rusher. And I said this. The Ravens are looking for not one-trick ponies, okay, where you had one time Peters. When we brought in Peters, he was a one side of the field type cornerback. They want to bring in people who can plug and play multiple positions and be smart, and someone who can start now, because we know we have a glaring need in the secondary. And we're not finished drafting in the secondary. By no way. I think we need to draft about two more corners. I believe TJ Tampa this year, he gonna shine. I'm gonna tell you why. We got Pagano, who's managing that secondary, and you know him. He will create dogs out there. And I think TJ Tampa is one of them, and he'll be able to hit the field more. I believe that, when you got guys like Tampa, MALAKI STARKS, Hamilton, Humphrey, Wiggins, you got a few other players, we can now draft someone in the second round. And I'm going to go through day 2 cornerbacks that's available who I think could get out there and shore up our defense. Now, I know we're going to get some offensive linemen, but right now I think it's time to do another 3 picks on the defense. We need a defensive tackle who creates havoc and pressure up the middle. We're going to need a solid cornerback, because I'm listening to a lot of people and I'm reading a lot of articles tonight as I make this video. And I heard them say by bringing in STARKS, that's going to allow Humphreys to bounce back on the outside. And anybody in Baltimore agree with me, just let me know. But I need Humphreys to stay right where he is, to be that Pro Bowl nickel slot type cornerback. He plays best there. He's got a couple of years age on him. If we need him in a pinch to go on the outside, fine. But right now, nobody's afraid of Humphreys, and they still throw on him. And I love Humphreys. He's my guy right here. But him matched up with T. Higgins, him matched up with Jamar Chase. No. I know. Because if they get that step on them, they gone. We need some young guns out there. Nate Wiggins, another solid man-to-man styled cornerback to match up with these receivers. If you agree with me, put a heck yeah in the comments. We need somebody ready to go. And I love Humphreys in a pinch maybe, but we don't need to see Brandon Stevenson 2.0. Not saying Humphreys would, because we've watched some people get the better of Humphreys. He's still instinctual. He's a few years older. But no, we need some solid cornerback play. But back to MALAKI STARKS. I'm sorry I got on a little rundown because I'm excited. He's a ball hawk, great instincts, great center fielder. He loves roaming. He needs to be in a system that allows him to roam and make decisions on the fly, and he makes pretty good decisions. He can play both nickel and safety, great football IQ. The plus side, the thing that put him over Nick from South Carolina, was his versatility. He can play multiple positions on the defense, and he knows football. He has a high football IQ, and I've said it before, but he's ready to play. Now, We didn't take a pass rush. Baltimore's upset, but Baltimore, let me let y'all know, I'm tired of projects. These guys look great in highlights. They were suspect in college, and I mean I'm not knocking, I'm not taking shots at guys, but if these guys didn't have consistency of putting up numbers in college, what makes you think they're going to do it in the NFL? We have Adisa Isaac, Ojabo, Owe, Robinson. He's come on, but it's not consistent. With Owe, he's always in the back of in the backfield, but it's like he's always like 3 seconds away from the play. We need plug and play. And if we don't have that edge rusher in this draft, or like many said, you're going to find some gems at second, third, maybe even the fourth round, then why not get the best player available, extra with instincts that can plug and play? You don't have to have, what they say, you don't have to have a Hall of Famer in this draft. No, you don't. What you need is some guys who can hit Pro Bowl, some guys who can be first team, second team. You need somebody out there like that you can put your money and help build depth for the team for these 17 games. Now, MALAKI STARKS, welcome to board, Baltimore. I can't wait to see his press conference. I will have that when it's available, and I'll do a little show on that as well. As you can see over here, that's the MALAKI STARKS stats, and throughout his career, he's been in the upper 80 percentile of play. I mean, he's strong in the run. That's something else I forgot to forget. He is physical, and if you watch his tape, he's very physical. He's not afraid to tackle. He is that Joker style safety. He can hit. He's strong in the run game and the pass game. So when you look at that, and Nick E from South Carolina, he's going to be a bit of a project. And I'm not saying he won't be a great corner, but like DaCosta and Harbaugh says, there's a 1 and a 2 safety in this draft, and we believe we got the 1 based on instinct, based on consistency, based on play, based on versatility. And I think they did. I think they did the right thing to get a player like that, as opposed to grabbing one of these guys that can go in the second or third day and having to wait 2 or 3 years for them to develop. Now, let's take a look at some things. Day two corners. We need to make a play on either a pass rusher or a corner in the second day. Okay, you got rounds 2 and 3, and I think we can get a corner and a pass rusher, or a guard, in this second round. But let's look at corner. Corner, we still have on the board Siobhan Rebel Jr. And listen to this. This boy, if you look at his story, Siobhan Rebel Jr., it's been like crazy. I mean, he's been injured a lot, just freak things of life, been in car accidents, had, mishaps happen, but the kid keeps coming. He's like an Energizer bunny. When he's injured or something happens in his life, he doesn't quit. And that's admirable, but is he the cornerback the Ravens need? The skinny on him is he's 6'2", 194 pounds, out of East Carolina. He missed a lot of time in 2024 due to a knee injury. But his tenacity. I'm rooting for this kid. Whether he comes to the Ravens or any team, I want an NFL team to get this kid a try. He may be a second or third rounder, but you can't teach his size and you can't teach his heart. The kid just keeps on coming. He don't quit. And that's powerful. I don't know truly, I haven't watched any game film on him, but I'm hearing he says a lot of upside. But my question is he plug and play now? Is he plug and play now? And I know rookies aren't all plug and play, but you know there are levels of rookies, and we need somebody who can start day one. Siobhan Revel, 6'2", 194, not bad. But then you look at this next kid, Trey Amos. Trey Amos is 6'1", 190 pounds. He ran a 4.43 at the combine. They said he was pretty good. Good hips, good flex, good motion. He's solid day two cornerback. And you know, one thing I'm noticing, I mean, look at the height, 6'1s. You have Revel at 6'2, so you're getting pretty much average cornerbacks at that level. Another intriguing guy that people say moved up in the draft boards a lot was Benjamin Morrison of Notre Dame. Okay. He's 6 foot, 190 pounds. And here's a key fact about him. He intercepted 9 passes and one he returned for a 97-yard touchdown over 25 games in 2022 through 2023. Okay. He has his college honors. He's earned the freshman All-American honors in 2022, and he was a semi-finalist in the John Thorpe Award as the nation's top defensive back in 2023. So this kid under Notre Dame has been a stud, and he's still on the board. They're looking at him probably the 5th cornerback off. And if you can get a guy at 6 foot that played real well early in their career, and you get him again with Chuck Pagano, man, and the Dean P supervised defense and Michael Orr's defense, and he has somebody like Marlon Humphrey, a vet, to help teach him. I mean, this kid could be phenomenal for the Ravens as their second outside corner. Okay. I heard he has versatility, so he can probably bang in nickel if you need him. But this kid looks strong. He looks strong. And if I'm really looking at Trey Amos first, Sharon Rebel, and possibly him tied for that second cornerback. And then the third cornerback that everybody's been talking about has pretty much been Darren Porter. They say he'll probably go in the 3rd round. And here's some things about him. He has some intangibles that made me just look at him like, wow. And I started looking at some game footage of him. And, you know, he needs some work. He's a little stiff. But I think, you know, he has some intangibles. They said he's smart and he's a quick learner. So if you give him time and you can start working him and he can compete for that role, I think he might be a gem. The kid is 6'4" and 201 pounds. He's 6'4". I'm not making it up. That is a big corner. And just check us out. And he ran a 4.30 40 at the combine. So he's tall, he's strong, and he's fast. Put an X beside the name, Darren Porter, 3rd rounder. You can get him in the 3rd round, get your edge rusher in the 2nd round, possibly package some of those comp picks we got and move back in the 3rd round and probably grab an offensive tackle, offensive guard. If you get an offensive tackle, you can convert him to guard. Well, he can challenge Voorhees or Faalele, and it'll be magic. It'll be magic. All right, let's talk about pass rushes, okay? And I have a list of day 2 and day 3 pass rushes, because really in this draft, if you look at it and look at a few smaller schools, you'll realize that Mike Green, okay, because of his character issues, he's still on the board. And then you have the guy named TJ, I'm gonna butcher his name, TJ Tamaralu. He's a 2nd rounder. People are projecting him to go, like, he should be up within the next 5 to 7 people off the board on day 2. Secondly, the one guy I'm hearing a lot about is Antoine Powell-Rowland. Antoine Powell-Rowland, they say he's a solid day two, second round, third round pick. They say, he has a lot of upside. He's a terror in pass rushing, and with the right core of players around him. And I think the Ravens is a perfect fit for him because you do have Calvin Noy. You still have a more seasoned Owe, and best of all, you got Chuck Smith here, the pass rush guru. I think this is the perfect time for us to not just grab one, I would say grab two pass rushers and have guys compete for it. And if you get two solid pass rushers who can get hopefully double digit sacks, or one get double digit, the other one get an 8 or 9, along with a mixture of Calvin Noy and Owe, then you may come to the point where when Owe walks next year, because I don't think we're going to pay him the big money that he wants. The Ravens don't pay pass rushers like that unless they've been performing day one, like a Suggs, or like a Judon or something like that. But when they get to that second contract, and if they haven't been consistent, the Ravens are not, and I repeat, they're not going to offer them big money. You saw with MALAKI, he gambled on himself and got the money. But he brings something to the table. So, in looking at that, you also have a guy by the name of Jack Sawyer. He's still out there on the board. He's considered, that next level guy within the top 15 of the pass rushers going into this draft. You also have Braden Swinson, a third round pick. They say he should go in the third round. And then you got the guy, Olafemi Ajadeo, in the third round. Okay. So these guys are still on the board. The Ravens got the picks to move up a little bit and to grab these guys. And I'm not talking about projects. I mean, if the guy has a lot of upside and he can play, we can have him in a rotation and fine. What I do believe is Robinson, who we already got on, I think he's going to take a big step this year. Last year, you saw him coming in, he was playing, he was physical, he was back there. And I think he needs more reps. Adisa Isaac, I want to see him on the field. Okay. I can't make a judgment of who these guys are if they're not on the field playing football, and these guys get injuries. And I'm going to say this, and it's not a knock against the Ravens. I think they do a great job of hiding talent. And a lot of people may be a little gimpy or something, and they mark them out, or they use the injury rule to keep these guys from being plucked off of the practice squad or something like that. So I think they're stockpiling. I think this year you're going to see a better pass rush strategy put in place, but you can't put it in place unless you got the players. Our pass rush will get stronger when you get some more inside pressure too. So you're going to need somebody to be right on the side of MALAKI, okay? And because MALAKI is getting the double teams, as rightfully so, he Pro Bowl player and he's a stud and he's still young and still learning. So by putting a big defensive tackle with pass rush who can pressure up the middle, force that center back onto the quarterback, force that guard to shut off a run lane for these athletic receivers by pushing them backwards and getting that pressure from the middle, that's going to force a quarterback to run into the arms of a Kyle Van Noy. And we've seen it multiple times when Clowney was here. When that pressure was going and it was doing strong, you saw them force him into either Kyle Van Noy or Clowney. And it's beautiful when it's done properly, because it was MALAKI, it was Pierce, it was Broderick. All them guys was just, it was that middle was where they was raising Kane and pushing them people. And that's what you need. Philly showed us in the Super Bowl that you can bring 4 guys over one line and create havoc. You can create a quarterback to make a miscue and throw a couple of interceptions, which are game changers with that kind of pressure. Okay, so I'm all in. I'm all in for the Ravens. getting a corner. I think a corner, to me, a corner who can start day one or challenge one of our day one guys, Awuzie, for that outside, because we gotta, whatever corner we draft, gotta be better than Brandon Stevens. Okay. I love Brandon Stevens. He was, I'm not knocking him because Brandon Stevens was always, it wasn't like people were blowing him away 5 or 6 yards down the field. He was always there, but he just, I don't know what it was, but he just didn't get that head around to make a play on the ball. And it caused a couple of penalties and stuff like that. But I think we need a physical, can track the ball, and make plays on the ball cornerback. And that's what we've been missing for years. I remember we had Jimmy Smith. Before him, we had Chris McAllister. We had Samari Rolle, although he was at the twilight of his career, but we had those guys like that. I remember we had Alvin Porter out there, and that was right before we traded or we brought in Samari Rolle, because that boy got toasted. I mean, he was on fire. When he came back to the locker room, he looked like burnt toast, but we have to get corners who can match the receivers in our division, because you're going to see these guys twice. And Steelers just got better in the wide receiver. Of course, Cincinnati, they still going to be good because they kept theirs. Look forward to Cleveland making some moves in day 2 to show up those wide receivers. And let me just get off the Ravens for a minute, y'all. I just want to talk the draft, because the draft, man, I was happy to see Matthew Golden go to Green Bay. All right, I'm going to tell y'all, I was happy to see it. I saw him sitting back there. I watched him throughout the draft, sitting in the green room, and it was good because I think Love needs a guy like him, in that slot, that go-get-it type guy, to allow his young receiving core to continue to mature. Okay? One thing I said about the Green Bay Packers was that they need a senior receiver, and I'm glad we got him. I think the Green Bay Packers, if they think about it, a guy like Amari Cooper would fit them. And I'm only saying this, listen, because he's a senior receiver and he can help mentor that young wide receiver core that you have there. Okay? If you agree with me, put it in the comments. Let me know. Should they bring in a seasoned veteran along with this young receiving core to help push them over that edge to mature faster, to grow? I believe everybody mentors. Look at what Kansas City did. Look at what the Cardinals did. They drafted a young defensive tackle, lineman, and he's going to come in and be mentored by Calais Campbell. That's some good stuff right there. And if you got those seasoned guys, you can bring some cornerbacks in. You can bring some young guys in and to learn. Okay? Which is pivotal. You need that right away. So it was good. That was one of my moments for the day. But then the other moment when I started clapping and getting excited was when the trade happened for the second pick, when the Browns traded their second pick. And, I thought, I knew without a shadow of a doubt, it should have been, the pass rusher Carter. I knew that was the move on that one. But then you looked around and it wasn't that. That was the Jacksonville trading in there, and they grabbed Travis Hunter. And I'm excited for Travis, honestly. He's not a Raven, but he was one of the kids that I've been watching for the last 5 years mature and go. And, we're going to keep him in our prayers as well, because, his situation with his girlfriend, fiance, and we've seen some stuff. And I don't want the kid to have a bad career. I don't want to see him on the news. I think he has a lot of upside, and I'm cheering for him, y'all, and I'm praying for him. So those who know the word for prayer, pray for these guys, man. They're young, they're game changers. And I got another, someone sent me a message, asked me, why are you so pumped up about the draft? Well, I know the draft, every year they make multimillionaires out of people coming from adverse backgrounds. We've heard stories that people were living in cars, homeless, never seen a home. And then when I look on YouTube, I see those stories where those guys taking their mom, buying their mom's homes, retiring their moms, setting up nest eggs for their kids, doing some stuff like that. And whether they only get a 4-year contract or this is the only contract they got, and with that NIL money, hopefully they making wise business choices, because, the NFL stands for one powerful, definitive statement: not for long. A lot of guys never see that second or third contract, so you got to make the best. Give me a shot. Give me guaranteed 10, 11 million. And if you're a smart person, you can take that 10 and 11 million and live a lifetime on it being very productive. Because again, an injury can come along. Anything can happen that can cost you your career. But I was excited to see Golden go. I seen, just looking at the parents, it was good to see McMillan go. I like to see him, the Polynesian. He's phenomenal, tall guy, make good plays. But the knock on him, from what I'm hearing, is the question is, can he create separation in the NFL? So he played a lot of slot, and that was cool. It was good to see Max Harrison go too. Kid got a lot of energy. I think Buffalo, they got one right there. They got a dog right there, because he's ready to bring the pain. And it's just when the Buffalo Bills meet the Cincinnati Bengals, who's he going to match up with? And hopefully it won't be a bloodbath out there when Chase just mutilates him as a rookie, because Chase is hard to guard. You're going to have to bring a safety up high and in your best corner you can on him. If you stay in the zone, he gonna pick you apart. He's a great yak guy. So, playing Chase, man, that'll teach a defense a lot, which means the faster you get to the quarterback, the less time he has to get the ball in Chase's hands. All right, so that's cool right there. In the draft, what else did I like? There's a lot of moments there. I saw Philly trade with Kansas City. When, I ain't gonna lie, man, it broke my heart. I'm sitting there watching the video of Shedeur, his family, and Prime. It's good to see Prime there. He was right beside his son, stayed in his ear. They didn't look, nervous on camera and everything like that. And I think what's going on now is, when I saw Jackson Dart go over him, I was done, y'all. I was really done. And I shouldn't say it, but I said, man, that's why the Giants the way they are. They always pick that glowing quarterback, and then they put the display on the screen of all the quarterbacks they've taken, like Eli, and then they saw Daniel Jones, and they showed now Jackson Dart. And I told my wife, and I'm not trying to be racist, y'all. I'm just calling it like a TI is. I said the one thing the Giants gonna do, they gonna get them a big white guy, and they're gonna let him be the QB, whether he can play or not. And I'm looking at Mel Kiper and them. If Mel Kiper has some bias, I mean, I'm going to run that. Mel Kiper really broke him down. It was like, he breaks down in big games. Yeah, he got an arm, but showed us Shedeur. And I think a lot of times, I don't know what happened with Shedeur, but they're downplaying that guy. And he's starting to remind me of like Lamar. They say he doesn't have athleticism. I mean, when the game's on the line, Dart was more physical runner than him. And I'm watching. I said, what games did they watch? Shedeur started working on his pocket presence, but Shedeur can run too. I've seen running touchdowns by Shedeur Sanders. So let's not act like Shedeur isn't mobile. He is developing to be a pocket passer, and he makes good decisions. And if you give him a line, he can carve up a defense. He's like that consummate, patient guy that's sitting right there, that's ready to make boom, 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 just throwing the ball. And if he gets it in the hands of playmakers, the playmaker's going to make the play and get you some yak. But I just think it's a double standard. Okay. And be real, y'all. Take Shedeur's stats. Put it on a guy named Jimmy Joe. He would have went in the top 10. He would have went in the top 10. If Jim Bob or Jimmy Joe, white guy, same stats, same frame and everything, got the same accomplishments he had those talents, is still in the game, they would take a flyer on them more than the black quarterback like Shedeur. And my son, Dylan asked me, so maybe it's because he didn't perform at the combine. Why do he? I mean, you have enough game footage and tape to know him. They've been to his games. They know how he plays. So it's not the fact that he didn't perform at the combine. It's something out on him. They don't want to take a gamble on Shedeur, but we'll do it on Jackson Dart. All right. I mean, the guy Dart, whatever his name is. That's crazy, y'all. They will take a flyer on a guy like him over a solid, I'm going to call him a solid QB. And looking at the draft, I thought, I ain't going to lie. Second round, I thought maybe the Vikings was going to try to, make a move for Shedeur. And they would, I was hearing the commentators say during the draft that, a dome would make him a lot better quarterback. But y'all forget he played in Colorado. It's cold as heck up there and they don't have a dome. So he's proven he can play in some cold weather. He can travel, but I just think it's a lot of BS. I don't know what team. I think the Steelers probably, if he's around the third round, or they may trade back. If he slips too far down the second round, they may trade in. But I don't want to see Shedeur with the Steelers. I told y'all that before. I don't like the Steelers. I'm a Ravens fan. I'll talk about the moves they make because we are a football fan podcast, but I don't want to see Shedeur in the AFC North. I don't. I want to see him with somebody like New Orleans. I want to see him with somebody like even Miami, because Tua Tagovailoa, he's another concussion away from maybe ending his career. So, I think with the weapons they got, Tariq and Jalen Waddle and Achan and those pieces down there, they can have a solid place. And I think Shedeur would shine in Miami. I think that's a place for him. Miami. Even I don't want, no. I ain't gonna do that to him. I ain't gonna say that word. Don't send him to the Jets. I thought the Giants should have made their move, but the Giants gonna be the Giants, and they'll be another 7-10 or 5-12, something like that, because they putting all their money on a guy who isn't proven. And again, none of these college quarterbacks are proven, but it was just stupid to me. Jackson Dart, a guy who's it's like polar opposite. They took that guy, and the only thing I can say is they just wanted a strong arm white guy in New York, and he'll get eaten alive by. And again, Dart, I am not coming for you. I'm just saying what I see. I've seen it before. They'll gamble for big white guy. We did it. Kyle Bowler. Oh, he can throw on his knees. Then he started dating the coach's, daughter and all that stuff. Man, come on. I need guys who are poised with a strong QB IQ. I would take a guy with a lesser arm, with smarts, could play a team leader over a guy. Oh, he can throw the ball. He can do this. Yeah. But when the pressure of the NFL season hit him, what's the team's record going to be? Let me see. What teams? So what teams do you think? I will ask y'all this. Fans, what team in round 2 do you think is going to draft Shedeur Sanders? Put it in the comments for me. What team is going to draft Shedeur Sanders? And Nick Umayori, the safety from Carolina, who do you think going to grab him? I think the Bengals are going to grab him because they need that. They need a lot of secondary help. I see a team like the Bengals, the Bills, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Can you imagine Nick Umanori back there with what's that guy name? I don't look at the Steelers much anyway, but they got, the safety. Y'all know it. Put it in the comments for me. I got a brain fart. But yeah, Steelers, Bengals, Browns. The Browns scared me. I thought they was going to take Abdul Carter. And can you imagine Myles Garrett and Abdul Carter wrecking havoc? Something happened. And I remember it was either Adam Scheffler or another one of the experts saying this, that if the Giants draft a pass rusher, Thibodeau may be traded. So I want y'all to watch that. Thibodeau of the Giants, because he had a few injuries. He was a first round draft pick, has not materialized to be the man they wanted him to be in New York. So watch that, because I think with him, I think this is his last year of his contract as a rookie contract, I believe. I'm not sure. He may be a piece that the Ravens could probably help resurrect his career. I just think he hasn't been properly trained and coached up that he could be an impact player. He has the size, he has the arm length, he has a lot of the intangibles, but he just need someone to help him. All right. Excuse me. So let me know what you think. Who should the Ravens draft in the second round? And tell me why. Put it in the comments. In the third round for day 2, what 2 players do you want to see the Ravens grab that's going to solidify that defense or offensive line in day 2? Let me know. Our mailbag is up here. Okay. Our mailbag is there. Send all your questions to questions for RF, was it Ravens Football Junkies? That's what it stands for, the initials, at gmail.com. It's right up there, and I'm going to put it across the screen down here so you can see it. But send me your questions, day 2 comments. Who you think going to grab Shedeur? Who you guys think going to grab Shedeur? What team is going to do it? We know certain teams are not. The bottom, the top 10 teams are not going to do it. But I thought the Rams may take a gander at him, looking at their quarterback situation the next few years, giving him some time to sit back and mature. I thought the Raiders. So it's like, for me, it's the Raiders, the Saints, and the Browns. Because right now, even if Watson is still there, Shedeur be on a rookie contract. And I don't want to see him go to the Browns. Okay? But I don't want to see him with the Steelers. Don't want to see him with the Steelers. All right? So let me know, y'all. Let me know. Do you like the MALAKI STARKS draft? Let me know. Yes or no. Tell me why. Pass rusher, do you think we missed out on it? Did Atlanta see Ravens about to get James Pierce, and they jumped in there and they took him? Tell me your thoughts. We're gonna have a little discussion. Day 2 NFL draft recap. Give me your comments, questions, concerns, all that thing. Thank y'all so very much. Don't forget, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon so you know when we go on, that you don't miss any news. If any news or trades or anything happen before day 2 begin, I'm going to do a quick pop on. I'll let you know what it is. Maybe a 5 or 10 minute news blurb, but I want to keep you guys in the know at all times. Thank y'all for the support. Please like, share, and subscribe. Share my podcast with everybody you know.